There is a video of a man who says that he was given revelation by God of which churches are of God and which churches are not. So the man then came back to tell us revelation. It's not my word though. Yeah, I'm just going to interpret for you what he's saying. He is speaking in Venda. And so let's go and see what he was saying. It's the Rick's Reality Show. Other episodes done today, down in the pinned comments, and I'm going to check you out over there. So when you're done checking here, you can go to the pinned comments if you have time and see the other episodes. Let's hear the mandem. Greetings. So, did a previous video. He used Zulu a little bit in the video. So, today's one, he will speak in Venda and he will try and mix it up with Sutu. Others might say, maybe this man is not well upstairs. He says, no, what I'm about to tell you, I was shown by God. That's what the man them says. So, God showed him multiple churches. God showed him all these churches, but particularly the one in the green. He was taken all the way up. It doesn't say where. And he was shown. So if he says heaven, I'll tell you. So it says he was taken up. Okay? So that's the part. He used to criticize all churches, especially the ones with the jackets and the mandals. Even those ones which have crosses on their uniforms and stuff. So, and then God took him and took him up there. Tangi. It doesn't say heaven. Okay? He said he was taken up there. Okay? And he was shown all the churches. He used to criticize all the churches, but now he had clarity after this. All of them. And he said, they are his. Okay. Him, he is evangelical. And God showed him all these churches and he said, these are my churches. But then the one in the green, God showed him after. If you go to Church of Christ, all these other churches, these are churches of God. But if you find a church that puts a goat or some type of an animal here or anywhere, that church is not of God. So these particular ones which have stars and whatnot on the dodgy side, so most churches you go there, they are dancing, they are either they are dancing traditionally or what, but those are people of God. Okay, in this church, survived death.
nandikhovabudza mafungo ngoni avajana dzote gereke mara yevasongojana and Satanism.
He says all churches you can go. This one. He says I escaped death on the 3rd of this month. He says just that's around Munden, the period. He knows. When you read the Bible, they say, in the year of our Lord. His man says, around the same time, when Cyril was doing his transactions for Sasas and all the mandams, he says, yeah, around that time, man survived death.
ZCC, yes, ZCC, in the course of that room. ZCC, never quite one night. Dear Satanism.
He says, ZCC, Satanic.
Biblia nikajwane rasa ambango ndizvambori vatu votodzokera mulandu warini mara upingo idhori vopolora richito ambango. Hey,
so here he says, he quotes from the Gospel of John. I assume, I don't assume, he's talking about the Gospel of John. He says the truth liberates us, and so if we speak the truth, basically I think he's quoting John. He might be mixing it with another different verse, but I think he's talking about John chapter number 1, where it says those that come to the light, they come that the truth might reveal that they are of the light, but lies are exposed, and so they stay away from the light. I think that's what he's quoting from. There might be kids in the background. He's telling them to get away. So he would have told you the story, but this is a rush matter. He's not going to get into that story. The one thing he's going to tell you is God showed him this particular green uniform church after. Now, he was told so that he can tell you. Now, if he doesn't tell you, he will be guilty before God. All these churches that do not have all these funny things, those ones, they're the ones which have God. These ones that have things on their thing, dodgy man. This is Antichrist. These ones that put things, Antichrist. I think I gave it a perfect interpretation. So he was shown a lot of things, and he wants people to be wake up. He says there was a lot of things he was shown, and he showed all kinds of churches, Faith Mission, Old Mission, all these other churches. But then these ones with the funny things on the chest and what, he says, hey, no God there. Says all these other churches, hi, you can go there, worship your God, praise God, you'll enter up there. So I'm thinking up there to him is heaven. As he doesn't say letadulu or anything. So it says you go in, but then if you have all these attachments, you'll get there with your attachments, you'll be denied access.
And the minions, but don't
says if you read in the Bible tells you do not take stars and what, and put. Now, basically, what he's quoting, you can get it in many different places. Okay, in Amos, he speaks about the chants and praises of brass bands and whatnot. He speaks about their dismissal and how he does not approve their praises. You go to Judges. I'm giving you kind of like a summary of what he's saying. Judges, I think it's chapter 8, if not chapter 8 towards 20s or so. When Gideon is at war with two kings, Zebah and Zalmunna, we hear about their worship of the crescent, something of the skies, a god of the sky or whatever, a moon god, who, when Gideon kills Zebah and Zalmunna, he makes sure to remove this particular element that they worshipped. He removes it. It was a crescent moon, if you read in Judges chapter number 8. And that particular same subject from Judges follows through all the way. When you are in the book of Psalms 83, you hear about a judgment of kings. He speaks about the princes of the earth being judged, and he says they will be judged like Zebah and Zalmunna. And guess what? Zebah and Zalmunna is mentioned in Judges. And so you can see two different writers acknowledging a similarity in thing. And he says, take those judgment and do with them in this manner. And if you read the earlier parts, you hear him talking about this worship of the moon god and all these things. So the idea of the judgment of things, even in the commandments, do not take things in the heavens or things in the sea, which is what he's talking about when he quotes that. I'm just giving context. Back to his story. What God says don't do, that's what the Mandams are doing at ZCC.
Nandikori vatu vabudzise vafunzi vote va ZCC vote vabudzise nekhanya nori tsimu ya tiye yeila chifaniso chawe tsimu yani guy.
He says, where is this farm that carries this tea which they make, the one which has his face on it? Where is the farm that farms that tea? That's the man's question.
But don't know anga vapika antara na ntigori timwelani timwe hone oyo ndikanyani vatu vachifa va mimwe yavo ijena pasi alwanje ngi ikwatuliwa khalutombolwa pasi alwanje sachi wacho ichikwatuliwa ningi ndione timuni yaone pasi vano vafanga dzibhizi vachikwaninge mori yavachitani uva ku mimwe yavo uikweijaya utachipanganga ngoumwangi ndivone vanokwatula dzikiye ngapasi alwanje. Tiye vari kumugunda vafunzi vaungane vote ndokusauna mumwe murovo dzakaneko vabudzise uri naitiye yachikwanisiro chokwaniswa lekanyani tiye une tsimu yaone igai.
He says, in many words, me I'm just interpreting. He says, that farm, which farms that tea, it comes from very dodgy places. Says potentially underworld and whatnot. I'm just interpreting. I don't want to go into details. If they want to go to details, check the comments. Check the comments. They'll tell you in the comments. Okay, he says, it's some underworldish thing. People die, what? I cannot repeat.
Auna nandovabuza chitori chihuru bade chaizo zvitu zvinoita kuhamba zvino zvino ndinati yakuhambesa zvinji ndikuvabudzana musori tanyerani Satani.
So he says, I would have told you, but the thing is, it's a long story. Maybe at a different time. But he says, be very careful. Satan is out there.
ZCC, yote, ingaba chiva, ingaba nelizi, liya Satani.
Says ZCC, both branches, same WhatsApp group.
Ona gerekene abana mbudzi yoita mbudzi apo ndiya Satani. Vatongochijiya nayo. Vaiwana na ungu yoita chifaniso changu apo patongojena ndiya Satani.
Says, you see all the churches with their goats and their cows and their water. Not of God. Aye.
asi yepedzi vaonera nguwewo nambatedza ngu vachirira kana chiva chimwevo ndiyasatani vasingojene khavatijenere kagereke doti ndachidza kuvona majaseri kachivavona majaseri kuti tiri jesi mudzimu wosumbadza ri vanna vasingwambara zva vasadzi vasingwambara zva vanna richizviwana pakala ndikamenikadzotoromeo 20 verse 20
Says, yeah, we know all those other things where men should not wear what women wear. And so he was very skeptical of churches that wear these gowns and stuff like that. And stuff.
20 ikoshava twandichiyamba ezvino richingwambare hezvo izvo avambare atori vangapa vajene ngoti avana chitu chevaita ichi vadzijenere gereke dzavo.
He says, but he later understood these are cloths. That's not really the core subject. He says it's all these other things. And the subject matter of clothes that's made for women, cloth made for women, for men, it's a very deep subject. But if you study how they used to dress in the Old Testament, you would understand it's not talking about pants or jeans. There were no pants or jeans back then. But there were clothes in design that were made for a feminine nature. But that's a subject matter of another day. It says the day when they were at FNB doing their prayers, it says he released a video around that time and early this month.
Vanji vari yovona ranga manda kaskiri nani ngi ya padala ranga manda shangoloti ene adamba zviamba zone ngango zviamba zone azvitom avono zvitoma kailo tom mara kadhu vala vusikisi ngazi 3 ndajiwa muya uyu auchera mutanga mbula shangoni naanga tolohani ndonoponyuka varoi vanje nditoponyuka ndikuita tukwana.
Says, hey, he's survived a lot. So the spirit was taken. It was almost as if he was about to. Says, I'm no longer afraid.
Ndajiwa muya unoyu ndaisvaningei vavusikisi havzvino rwamaperero ndaisvaningei ndati wana vatu vavanji dhakano totasasoga mari una pipe yamati hela pipe vova ndichivona ndapambiro anga ikopa kutungurai andivhale hei pipe imadhakomoro thing.
So he says he saw a tap. He was taken to this place and he saw people like in a bush or something. He says there was a tap that was coming towards thingy, and he felt like, hey, you know what, this tap is just wasting water, so let me close this particular tap.
Chitumbu chezara paya ndichitojela pipe nditovhara madzi mumwe apa lani vosokupadharara voita vopadhara vachinga vamboni vasokosedzangenange vachinga vanandavana vatsina ulalelwa nendivhare pipe vaitangoraro uri vachangopedza ngai vaite zvezvo nendichivhara pipe mumwari nandinyuwari uvhare pipe ndambo dziri junda pani chivotomuchuwa indonokaka apo aninya ubudza uvhara pipe ndachuwa ndichichuwa hoyo mungwavo dziratinanisa apana ambodiri shaberani ngeno vadonivura shaberani kani navangandivura noshabera kani hezvi ndichishabera kani nditosvika kai havana vatu varingange matungo vote vasendera vachisendera hola notova kamusi chipedza chobva apa kamusi usvika saapa murini uyu ambodzishava kani natojoinana navala vavonotoita dhangala mukuku hone vakovona vachiuita pano changuri vonotova tsii ndazvipori zvinauchena pulani youbva vomutiveredza ufirisa wange muranda achiponyoka one zvinhu vonototiva unotorara mudzimu anjiyasa sazvezva zvejesu vavona kutuwisa zvona chiantana vafundziwa vawe vomusedza veyapfinyera kumakoleni anambopfinyera choti zvezva zveyatotowotorara asakudzinge asakupfuka atotowotorara nane ndototowa sazvezvo saleft vachijena dziodherani vadononghona dzileft dzine vanamere ava wala vesanta ichidivaisa pasi kawo.
Yeah, he says, hey, after I closed that tap, looks like it was the trap. Once I did that, I was now under threat. They started asking me, who told you to close the tap? Started asking him the question and all that type of stuff. And during this entire whole thing of him being questioned, someone said, "Come towards me." And so when he ran towards that person, they surrounded him in a circle, the way they do when they do their church, and attempting to attack him. And he says the same way Jesus was lifted up, he too was lifted up the same way you see lifts in the city. He says, I would not have survived that. That is how they attempted to take my life. He says that whole thing, he was not supposed to come back after that attack. But he says after that, he survived, and now he's here to tell you.
The president zote zimushaba but baluba kai bakoluba bambiri awuna chief nondo mubarele kanya nanga gaya saka chanyita chief kwamba ngowa saka chanyita chief kabatende bambiri china chief but loko shaba bambiri la bambiri ile no amutini ko babudoti ya chief ibo papa tsaru anjibona baduchwa but na uzijanga chiulani kamanda ko babudana musori zazenda babudana pelera ns yezi jambaro ndi adiwo ndoziwana kai because we didn't want to do one guy. I want to go to it. The cover with the rest is never could do one. Nemon and the Adiba, the most it on the zoo, I know tell us. The corner Chinese about that Babu Zanga Amambaro. I never move Vangary, the move Vangary Street. I'm Ambaro, Babu Zori. I have a number of Zambaro his, Mushuma would mean. But Dr. A camera of a pen. Babu Nabala.
And so this is the testimony of the man. I'm guessing maybe there is another one where he explains the uniforms and the whatnots. But he says this is his testimony. This is his issue. They try to take him out. There's many men. You remember 50 Cent song? many men. Wish death on me. He says, hey, they wish death on the Mandans. He says, I don't cry no more. Don't look to the sky. Have mercy on me. For those that know the 2003 song from 50 Cent, he says, many have wished death upon the Mandam, but he has survived them all. And this particular church in here, he says, this one, do not even attend. Structurally show you daily Christian commentary videos. Other episodes done today, I'll be down in the pinned comment and I'm going to check you out on them other episodes. I saw that video, one of you guys sent it to me and I thought, hey, let us see what is being said. The man says, this he was shown by God.